Some of the best stories begin with a bloody mystery, prompting the question of who committed the crime and why. But not here. Columbo style, we straight up see the murder in the opening scene, and we know exactly why the deed was done. And in doing so, sets the stakes, posing the question of who will inherit the throne in this turbulent world, rife with racism, conflicting politics, and giant freakish humans. Cool. Goodbye, the show where I tell you about a thing, and whether or not you should actually buy that thing. Today, that thing is Mataphor ReFantazio. ReFantazio? I know, the name seems pretty standard, but you JRPG fans aren't ready for this one yet. Or maybe you are. Huh. As far as the race for the crown goes, there's a surprise. The king used royal magic, so that after death, his giant rocky face appears in the sky. Think the moon from Majora's Mask. And declares that the next king will be decided by the people. While the world of Metaphor is asking who will be the next king, Atlus fans have long been asking what Metaphor actually is. Is it a Persona game? Is it not? As I was about a third of the way through playing, I realized the best way to explain it is that it's the Dragon Age to Persona's Mass Effect. Right? Metaphor is the fantasy equivalent of Persona's modern setting. There's a lot of shared DNA between the two, in style, visuals, mechanics, and so on. So much will feel similar, and yet it's not quite the same. In fact, Metaphor even offers some improvements. For example, you still have rank up events with your followers and friends where you receive a varying number of points depending on the responses you choose during dialogue. However, unlike Persona, you can't fail these rank up events. The differing points simply give you more MAG, a currency that unlocks new archetypes and skills. It removes the stress of answering with the most efficient responses or even potentially locking yourself out of completed relationships, character backstories, and the companion benefits and improvements that come with it. Like many fans, I was unsure what to make of Metaphor's decision to avoid romance, but after playing it, I get it. Romance would not have added to the story here, only making sense as a fan service that may have detracted from the story the game seeks to tell. For the most part, the narrative versus gameplay template is the same, too. You'll have a certain number of days to do whatever you want, with a looming deadline for a specific task, which is generally a dungeon followed by a boss, after which you rinse and repeat with a new deadline and a new task. In those 3 days you can choose what you do, such as bonding with followers or undertaking optional dungeons and quests. It is all very familiar, and yet it feels better. Metaphor isn't just based in one city. You travel the nation, unlocking new locations and sites as you go. As a result, things feel more exciting and fresh. Your base of operations isn't just one small room, it's a whole ship that offers a range of activities when you're locked into traveling. You're not looking at the same cityscape every day, or traversing the same optional dungeon with the same visuals. Though there is a similar ebb and flow as deadlines loom and pass, it doesn't feel sluggish at any point, and overall, Metaphor is a better pace than any Persona game has ever been. While battles are still turn-based, with a familiar elemental wheel, you don't have a supply of personas to summon here. Each character has an archetype, which is a job role, such as a healer, a knight, a warrior, and so on, with set skills they can learn. You learn more skills as you level up, and will unlock higher tiers of archetype branch as you progress, as well as opening up brand new archetypes through the narrative and side content. The diversity in boss battles also offers a welcome challenge that encourages you to dig deep into the archetype system for solutions. Have fun dealing with the optional boss that charms everyone in your party and does a fire attack of 9,999 damage each time. Unsurprising for most Atlus fans, you'll find the difficulty is fairly steady until the end section, where suddenly you're questioning your own ability and scrambling for items like never before. Why am I not good enough to beat this guy? The difficulty spike will likely be an annoyance for some, but The saving grace is that the extended difficulty options means you can set it right down to storyteller if you get tired of retrying the same battle 10 times in a row. That way, if your party dies, you can just revive them. No one will be prevented from experiencing the full game. It's as though the team were told to dial the style up to 11 in Metaphor. No Atlus game has ever looked or sounded this good. The menus feature paint textures and striking graphics, the post-battle scenes are the epitome of cool, and of course, we've got the gorgeous graphics and animated cutscenes we've come to appreciate from Atlus. Like most Atlus games, Metaphor is very narrative heavy, and best appreciated personally, so you should enjoy the surprises, twists, and turns firsthand without me spoiling it for you. The fact that I don't want to speak about it too much should convey how great it is, because I don't want to ruin a single moment. There are a couple things you might suss out a bit beforehand, but there is undoubtedly more that you will not anticipate at all. Okay, so let's not beat around the bush. Persona have some damn long games. So what are we looking at for Metaphor? Well, you may have seen the news on the game's length recently, and yeah. For the full story, you're going to be looking at an average of 60 to 80 hours, and then upwards of 90 into the 100 plus range if you're looking to take on as much as you can. I mean, this is Atlus. What did you expect? Now, you could rush through the game if you wanted to, stick it on easy mode, charge through the main events, speed read some dialogue and cut off your least favorite characters, but you'll still be looking at maybe 50 hours for the journey, in all honesty. To cut it down further, well, we're in speedrun territory, or just completely skipping dialogue and cutscenes. But you'd be missing out on a lot, and probably run into a lot more of those difficulty spikes as you find yourself drastically underleveled for the next bit of the game. There's also the familiar element of an in-game calendar. You could rush things as much as you pleased, but you may still have to wait until a certain date for the next thing, which is really when you'd be looking into improving relationships, leveling up, or taking care of any other daily tasks. So, big game, big cost, right? Yeah, pretty much. But still not as much as some. Metaphor will cost you around £60 for the full game, and £90 for the Atlus 35th Digital Anniversary Edition, which comes with some digital art books, soundtracks, and familiar outfits and background music for the game. All in all, in a world where most big games now are sitting at the £70 mark, 60 is pretty damn good. Especially for a game that's going to be as big as this and as rich as this. Honestly, I don't think there's any question of a doubt in the worth here. Much like the eternal Dragon Age vs Mass Effect debate of which is better, Atlus fans can look forward to finding themselves arguing the same points between Persona and Metaphor in the future. Our reviewer has even fallen more in love with Metaphor, and that's pretty significant for someone with several Persona tattoos. Whatever side of the debate you fall on, the fact that we're even having it goes to show that Metaphor stands shoulder to shoulder with the prestige of Persona. Metaphor ReFantazio is a new peak for Atlus. It takes so much of what was great about Persona, refines it, and throws that powder into an exciting fantasy setting with incredible lore, well-developed characters, and a fresh new battle system. The undeniable appeal of quality of Metaphor leaves me confident we'll be seeing a lot more from this series, as there's no way Atlus could leave this as a one and done deal. The people need more, and if I have to build a giant rock face into the sky to declare that, then so be it.